Okay. Right, so as I said, it'd be really nice to kind of, as best as possible, get to know everybody in this, who's kind of in this chat with us. So what I'm going to ask for you to do is, if you press the chat button, you should get a little pop-up. In fact, I'm not sure if you might even be able to see mine if I do it here. Here we go. Fantastic. So what I would like you to do is, in the comments, write your name, your job and organization, and now this is probably the toughest thing you'll be asked to do all day. One thing you've actually enjoyed about being stuck at home. So while you're kind of writing your answers down, I'll try and go through mine. So as I said, my name's Andrew Collins. I'm Communications and Engagement Officer for ProMo-Cymru. And the one thing that I enjoy probably about being stuck at home, particularly on a beautiful cloudless day like today, is actually, it's really nice being with the dog. I mean, that's one of the few pleasures I can take at the moment, is that I get to spend quite a lot of time with the dog. But actually also genuinely, I am learning a lot of things, because although Promo-Cymru has always used digital, and we've often done things like this before, you realise how quickly this stuff moves and how many more capabilities there are. So I'm really learning a lot, and that's probably what I'm enjoying. Hello, Kerry, viewing from the lounge. Fantastic. Hi, Ellen. Eating lunch in the sun in the garden. Yes, very nice. I actually don't have a garden. I have a kind of small balcony, but we only really get shades. It's freezing on there, even on a day like today, but that's lovely. Hi, Robin. Oh, the new mullet. Very nice. Having a lie-in, thanks. Yeah. Curriculum 5, fantastic. There's loads of coming. Hi, Abby, Anna, Josie, Vina. Fantastic. Let's have a look. Let's pick one more out. I've enjoyed helping. Oops, disappeared. I've enjoyed helping others to learn about digital solutions and different creative ways to engage with people. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's probably something that I've really benefited from in this last week. And hopefully you'll be able to take away a few more ideas with you following today's kind of session. Okay, by all means, do keep your comments coming. Like I say, I'll be reading through those at the end, and they'll form our blog. Okay, so for the first part of today, we're going to look at video conferencing. It seems like a fairly obvious place to start, seeing as that's what we're doing right now. So for those of you who are new to it, video conferencing is essential for basically doing these one-to-one meetings or even large group meetings such as this. What I'm really enjoying actually is the creative ways that we're seeing this stuff done at the moment. So, so you may have seen in the news, there's a virtual pub quiz Facebook page that's been launched, which is brilliant. They've actually had musicians performing sets to like a couple of hundred people on Facebook. They're doing like a regular pub quiz. I think that's brilliant. Personal trainer sessions. So obviously for people that do personal training, you'd think that their work would all dry up, but they're managing to use this sort of software to continue to do workouts with their clients and just doing it from their living room with whatever stuff's available. And yeah, choir practice, which kind of seems crazy. I wouldn't have thought the audio quality was good enough on these things, but I think that's just genius. And it's really exciting to see how creative people are being with these tools. And, you know, thank goodness we have got them, because I think it would be really not very pleasant if we didn't have this opportunity to socialize like this. My own personal favorite example, for those of you that don't know me, I'm a very, very big Cardiff Blues rugby fan. And on Saturday, so obviously there should have been a match for the Blues on Saturday, but obviously it's been cancelled. So the Blues broadcast through Facebook. They showed an old cup final in which we won the match and we lifted a trophy, quite a famous game for fans. And they got former players who played that day and the coach to actually talk through the match the whole time. So there was about 200 or 300 people who all tuned in to this Facebook Live video to basically just watch a match that was like a kind of classic game, but also get this new insight in kind of what the players were thinking at the time and when they scored, what they thought and what they thought of refereeing decisions. And it was brilliant. It got fantastic engagement. And I don't think I was expecting it to work so well, but it really did feel like you were watching a game. Even though you knew the outcome, you kind of felt like you were really involved in that sense of community, because as you can see on the side here, like people were commenting throughout, people were joining in and commenting on Twitter and Facebook. So it was amazing how it still managed to feel like a real collective experience. And as my colleague Ariel pointed out to me earlier, the best part of this is you actually win every game because you can choose which games get to be broadcast. So for once, as a Cardiff fan, we actually get to watch the team win quite regularly, which is lovely. So if we have a quick look at some of the different options, now of course there are others, it's just I couldn't fit them all on the screen. So if we just have a quick look at kind of the main 4 that I've looked at today. So obviously first up, we've got WhatsApp. WhatsApp is brilliant, basically because nearly everybody has it. It's really popular with young people right through to my parents and older people who are all able to use it. It's very, kind of quite easy to get to grips with. And I think because people already have it on their phones, it's kind of something that you don't feel like you need to learn a whole new set of skills. It doesn't do a lot, you know, it doesn't do screen share and it probably doesn't do large scale meetings. But if you work with people on a one-to-one basis and you want to keep that going, I would say this is arguably your best option, your best solution. The video is great quality. It's completely free to use. You can have up to 4 people. One of the few downsides to it, I would say, is from maybe like a kind of data protection point of view, is that you will need the person's mobile number. So, you know, from a GDPR point of view, particularly if you're working with vulnerable, at-risk or young people, you might just want to be a little bit careful about whether that's something you think is appropriate. The next one is Google Hangouts. Again, another free tool. This one, you can have up to 10 people. This is really good because you can do video call both on desktop and mobile. And to my knowledge, you can't do video call on WhatsApp on desktop. So actually, if you're looking to do desktop like this and do screen share, then Hangouts is probably quite a good option. I actually did a quiz with some friends last week, so they wrote the quiz. We actually normally go to a pub quiz on a Thursday, so we've kind of recreated our own one. We used Google Hangouts, and I have to say, although it worked, the quality of both the audio and the video was really quite poor. So next week, I'm actually going to encourage people to try a different platform. However, what is good about it is most people have a Google account, so it's not really like you have to create a whole new account for this one, but it's not bad. Arguably, the best free solution is going to be Skype. It's completely free for joining. You can get up to 50 people in one chat. So, you know, we could have hosted this whole training just on Skype. The pros are you get 4 hours per call, which for a free package is amazing. That is capped to 100 maximum per month, but you get loads of features. It's really impressive. It's got things like background blurring, so you can kind of blur out if you don't really want people to see your bed or whatever it is that's in the background of your camera. It can blur it out. It's really good. The downsides are you can't schedule meetings. So whereas this one we were able to schedule it and send the link out in advance, can't do that. However, if you currently use Office 365 as a team in work, you now have access to it's called Microsoft Teams, but it is what used to be called Skype for Business. So you actually get a lot more of the add-ons, so the ability to arrange a whole meeting just through your Outlook calendar. You can invite people straight through there, and it's a really well integrated tool if you do already use Office 365 in work. So that's worth bearing in mind. I do want to show you very quickly something that I only discovered myself yesterday when I was kind of doing some research for this. So this is the Skype website. And if you hover over more and go to products, meet now. So that was, sorry, just products, meet now. You can actually arrange an entire meeting without needing to log in or download a single thing. So you just go to this page, and as you can see, it's completely free. There are no signups, so you don't even need a Skype account and the person to host it or to invite someone. And you don't need to download any software. It is really as straightforward as clicking create a free meeting. I think you get a link and you just share that link with whoever you want to attend. So I think where this one's particularly helpful is if you wanted to arrange a meeting with people outside of your organization and you're not sure what software they use or if they use any software at all, this is probably a really, really good solution for arranging a meeting without needing to explain a whole host of, oh, this is how you do this is how you do that, you need to download this, create an account. It's kind of fairly straightforward. Just send that link and you're kind of good to go. I think it's going quite slowly because we've got everything. I think because I've already got a conference call open at the moment. But anyway, if you do want to have a go, just search for Skype. This is the homepage, and you go to more products and meet now. Okay, let's go back to the one we've got here. So the last one on our list is this one that we're using now. It's called Zoom. I actually hadn't really heard of Zoom until maybe 1 or 2 months ago when we started using it in Promo. So we had been using Skype prior to that, and we actually found that Skype didn't really work very well for us. We found the audio wasn't great. I think that seems to vary for different people. But we decided to kind of try out Zoom, give it a go, and actually we found that for us, the video quality and the audio quality has been really quite improved. So there's actually multiple packages, but for third sector organizations, you're really probably only looking at the 2 packages here, which are the free package and the £12 a month. On both, you can have up to 100 people in your meeting, which it's mind-blowing. It's crazy. It's very impressive. The pros are that I would say Zoom has now become industry leading. So even though I have to confess I hadn't really heard of it, it's now the one that you're seeing. So when the news is reporting about these pub quizzes, these virtual pub quizzes and choirs, quite a lot of the time they are using Zoom. So it seems to become something that a lot of people are moving on to with everything that's going on. We find for us it's the best quality of video and audio. Again, you can have desktop and mobile, so you can have it just direct on your mobile phone if you don't want to use your computer, obviously tablet as well. You can have 24 hours per phone call, which is a lot, but that is only on the £12 a month package. If you're on the free package, it's a maximum 40 minutes. So that's just something to bear in mind. You don't need an account to join, but it's probably, I would say, if you're going to adopt this as an organization and take it on, it's probably worth encouraging people to do so that they can log in regularly. Oh, hang on a second. I feel like I've maybe muted Nathan a second. There we go. Nathan, is there something you wanted to say?
Oh, yes. Yeah, just picking up on Grant's point about how many Zoom accounts. So it's depending on the size of the organization. At Promo, we have 2. And the only thing being is you need multiple accounts because you can't host multiple webinars on one license at a time. But just so everyone knows, there is a charity discount as well on the Zoom website, where you can basically just get it for half price if you are a charity.
Fab, yeah, which is well worth knowing. It's also quite good to know, well, actually, you know what, we'll come to that later on. Right, so one of the other features, and I thought we could have a bit of fun with this now, there's one other feature that Zoom offers. I don't know if other platforms do this as well, but they have something called Whiteboard, which I'm going to turn on for you in a moment. So the whiteboard basically is like almost a graffiti wall, which you'll all be able to write and annotate on and draw on and have a lot of fun with in a minute. So you can literally draw anything you like. You can type out stuff. I'm encouraging you to have a go at drawing a self-portrait. So good luck with that. I'll turn it on for you in a moment. But I think what's worth pointing out is that actually this just shows you can still make your meetings kind of fun, engaging, still be interactive. So again, if you are working with young people and you're thinking that meeting like this can be a bit cold and lacking that interaction, there are still ways around doing it. So let's have a go. I'm going to stop share a moment. And now I'm going to open up the whiteboard. There you go. And okay, so I think, Nathan, you may have to help out with this because your screen looks slightly different to mine, but I believe people have to add stuff in. You have to go to participants, is that right?
I know if you go up the top and you should see a green bar and then view options. And if you click on view options, there's a drop down. And then if everyone finds that, so click view options on the drop down. Nice. I click annotate.
I can see someone's having a good go in the sort of tealy blue color. Very nice smiley face. Very nice. I mean, I assume you can see this as well as I can, and it's really quite hilarious to see just all this crazy graffiti coming onto the screen all of a sudden out of nowhere. It is. I think it goes to show it can still be quite a lot of fun. What I haven't told you is that we will be saving this beautiful graffiti attempt and almost certainly sharing it on social media later on. So you actually get the option to save on the far right-hand side. Oh, I don't know who's done the blue on the far left-hand side. Can you write your name next to that? The one, so I think it's a lady with big hair. It looks amazing. I am very impressed. I don't know who's coughing. I'm sorry to hear. Sorry, I hope it's nothing too serious. Oh, Augusta, that is very, very impressive. I could not. Oh, someone's drawn a bike. That's amazing. Yeah, I'm quite glad I didn't try and have a go now, because I think my effort would be a lot worse than this. Okay, I'm going to save this and we'll kind of go back to the presentation. But beautiful, well done, everybody. So also something worth bearing in mind here is that I get the option to turn off and on the annotations. So actually, if we go back to the slide, and we, sharing. There we go. So I can now turn off annotations, because as much as your drawings were all very beautiful and very lovely, I don't really want you graffitiing over my presentation, otherwise people won't be able to read it. So I've managed to, because I'm the host of the meeting, I've got all these extra controls that allow me to kind of let you do this stuff. So you really do get a lot of options when you're presenting. Okay, how are we doing for time? Not bad, we've got about 20 minutes left. Okay, so we're going to have a quick look at cloud working. Now, because this is the first one of these we've done, I think we're going to start really with the basics, because there will be some people that have never used any of these tools before. So I would just say, if you are familiar with things like Office 365 and Google Docs, apologies if you do already know this stuff. We just thought for the first session, it's a trial for us. And I think we want to make sure that everybody's on the same footing going forward. So if this is a bit basic for you and you already know it, I apologize, but we'll definitely be looking to do more as the weeks go on. So we'll kind of really progress the functionality of these tools and kind of maybe turn up a gear with the kind of complexities of what you can really do. But just for today, we're going to start with the basics. So the cloud, or cloud working, is this crazy clever tool that's been around for quite a few years now, but you can just do so much with it. Whether it's accessing all your files on any device. So you no longer need to just work on one laptop and think, I can only access that document via this individual laptop. You can do it via phone, via tablet, your brother, sister, daughter's laptop, pretty much anything. It's really useful for that. If you're not familiar with it, I'd say the best way to think of it is basically just like My Docs on your computer, except rather than being saved on your computer, it's saved kind of in the server somewhere else, which is why you can access it from anywhere. I'd say the two leading services, excuse me, are Google Drive and Microsoft's OneDrive or 365. As well as having like email and calendars and all those kind of things integrated. Where it starts coming into its own as this kind of business tool is the programs that you can use. So if we look at the bottom row here, you can see this is Windows. You should already be familiar with obviously Word, Excel, and PowerPoint there. Well, Google has their own version. So the blue one at the top is Docs, the green one is Sheets, and the yellow one is Slides. But again, they're completely free to use. And they will immediately feel very, very familiar to you if you've ever used any of these products before, which I'm sure you have. So I thought we could have a quick look at how it works for those people that haven't seen it. Oh, okay, so when you go into your drive, it kind of just looks like a folder. So this is me. You can see I've accessed it through my web browser. Oh, and it probably will be going a little bit slowly because I'm hosting the video as well, so I'm using a lot of my bandwidth. It normally runs really quickly. But you can see here are all Promo-Cymru's files around training. And you can see that it just, like I say, looks like any other My Docs. Everything you need is here. So if we go into webinars, which is where this stuff is saved, you can see that we've got this presentation and a couple of docs. So if we go to, let's have a look at demo docs. Well, in fact, actually, I'll show you how to create one first. In the left-hand corner here, there's a big button that says New. If you click on that, you can see you can choose from Docs, Sheets, or Slides. So let's just have a go at Docs. tell you what, in fact, let's do a Blue Peter and say, hopefully, here's one we made earlier. So here's a document that we kind of wrote up earlier on. As you can see, it works exactly like Word. You've got all the same functionality, whether it's sort of making it bold, changing the font, adding in images, adding in tables. It's all there. It'll all feel very, very familiar to you within a couple of minutes of using it. But I think really what makes this tool great is the share function. Actually, I'll tell you what, we'll come to that in a sec. If you're worried about thinking, well, hang on, if we suddenly go to using this Google Docs, what about, I want it as a Word file and I don't quite know how that works. You can still share your work as a doc in a couple of different ways. So the first one, if you go up to File, you can just download it and it gives you an option to download it as a Word document. So if I click that, you'll see it opens. And actually it will just open. Oh, I'm not sure if you can see this. I'm not sure if you're able to actually see that screen, but it just opens a Word document on my computer that looks exactly the same. You can also download as things like PDF or a few other formats that you're probably never going to use, but the main one obviously being the Word document. By here, you can also just email it straight away as an attachment to a colleague or whoever. So you can say whether you want to, what kind of format you want to email it to. So I can send this to Nathan and just hit send, and it's as easy as that to share the document. But I'd say where it really comes into its own is this idea of real-time collaborative working. So what that means is, in a moment, I'm going to invite you all to basically come and work in this document at the same time with me, and I will actually be able to see everything you're typing, and I will see the letter by letter as it comes up, which is it's going to look crazy. Again, something to bear in mind, it probably will go quite slowly because I'm hosting this conference. It runs really, really smoothly whenever we use it at work. But if I want to do that, I've got a few options. So I go to Share in the top right-hand corner. I can either just let people view the document, which means they cannot make any changes to it, which is really useful if you just kind of want to show people. I can let them comment, which kind of means they can add little messages to say, oh, I'm not sure about this bit, or perhaps you should, there's a spelling mistake here, you might want to change, but it won't actually edit any of the document itself. It just kind of adds like a little note for you to come and look at later on. But finally, edit is the one you want to do, because I'm going to open this up for you all to kind of get typing in. Oh, sorry. So I'll go back to that. So it comes up with this link here. You can email it directly, but because I'm going to put it in the chat, I'm going to click. So anyone with the link can edit. Copy link. Let's go to our chat. And here we go. So hopefully you should all have that message now in your chat. So if you click on that link, now what will probably happen is it will open the document. It'll probably leave Zoom. So right now you're probably just seeing the document that you're working on. You're probably not seeing me anymore. But as I can see, all the anonymous Dumbo octopus, anonymous quagga. Wow. I'm not sure actually, Nathan, what's the highest amount we've ever had in a doc collaborating before?
I think about 8 people. So,
yeah, this is going to be a record. So actually, what would be great is if you can have a go at answering the questions yourself. So Nathan's put in a few questions there about things you'd like to learn, things that you've learned that could help others. Jot it in there, change the font, have some fun with it. So also in the chat, if you could just let me know how many people are using this already. Are they using it just like personally, or are you using it as part of your organization? If you are using it, how do you find it? Do you find it works for you? Is there any difficulties? I know so Promo kind of mostly uses Office 365 these days. That's kind of what we're set up as an organization, and their version works in almost exactly the same way. But what we sometimes find a difficulty is it can be challenging to get people familiar with using this stuff. And you sometimes come up against a little bit of resistance. However, with things as they are, I mean, I don't think people can really afford to be too resistant to this kind of technology. I think this kind of shows how we can continue to work from home. And if we are going to be on lockdown for the next few months, I think the resistance is just going to have to disappear and people are just going to have to bite the bullet and have a go with it. So yeah, Katrin, you use 365. Yeah. Yeah, I think 365, I think it is really good. My personal opinion, I don't like it quite as much as Google. I find it a little bit more clunky. And I think actually Promo is thinking about maybe moving everything over to Google. But I mean, to be honest, if you're using Google or Office 365, that in itself is brilliant. The fact that you're doing it is wonderful. So yeah, DTA is in 365, fantastic. So Venus says, are we able to use a Word document that we already have? Yeah, that's a really good question. Yes, absolutely. So if you want to upload, so in your Drive, you can upload anything, whether it's a PDF, a Word document, or anything. And you can actually edit the Word document in Google Docs. So you can carry on editing it and then save it back as a Word document at the end, which if that's kind of what your organization is doing, then yeah, you can still continue to upload all your old docs and you can still kind of work with Google Docs on all these old things that you may be already using. So yeah, absolutely, you can do that. That's a really good question. Geraint, I use it a bit. I'm still using Microsoft. Yeah. 4 staff use Chromebooks. Yes, come on, up the Chromebooks. I've had a Chromebook for about 6 years. They're amazing. They're kind of like tablets with a keyboard, but I find they're so quick. The battery lasts like 10 hours and they're so quick to run everything. So yeah, big up the Chromebook fans. Well done. Good on you. How do you upload a document? Good question. Okay, so I don't know if everyone can see the screen. I think we're pretty much all done on sharing this doc. So I'd encourage you now to maybe close that doc that you've just been working on. Again, thanks very much for your input. If you close that doc and make sure you can go back to Zoom and hopefully everyone can see my screen again. If you're not, let me know in the chat and I can hopefully talk you through that. But yeah, so once you've got your Drive set up, this is kind of what your Drive will look like. And when you click New, oh, sorry, it's just taking a little bit of time to load. So when you click New, it actually says Upload is one of the options. So you can upload a file or an entire folder. When you start getting really clever with this stuff, you can actually set up something called Sync, which means it'll look like a normal folder on your computer, but it's constantly backing up all the work you're doing. And yeah, actually on that note, Geraint has just said that Google automatically saves everything. And yeah, that's a really good point to mention. So if we go back to this document that I've got open here, so just by here, let's see, I don't know if you can see the title, Untitled Document. If you see, I'll start typing something. And what you should start to see, oh, there we go, is it'll actually start to say, there we are, all changes saved in Drive. So sorry, it's just next to the help icon. So every time I type something, it's kind of constantly backing it up. So yeah, the old thing about the computer crashing midway through work, it's just not something you even need to worry about anymore. It's constantly saving every couple of seconds. Every time you make a new sentence or type a new word, it's kind of constantly saving as you go. So you can see there, it says saving. And as soon as I stop typing, all changes saved in Drive. So yeah, there's really loads of benefits to getting onto Google Docs or 365. Yeah, just from backing it up to inviting people to work. And I think actually it's that second point that's really useful, because if you've ever had that thing with version control, so let's say that you've written a press release and you want to share it with some colleagues for their input because you think, oh, is this right? Is this what people want? So you write your Word document, you send it out to colleagues and you ask for feedback. What you didn't realize is that each of those 5 people have gone away, downloaded it, made their own changes, and emailed it back to you. So slowly but surely, you then get 5, 6 different versions of this document that you started off on, and you can't work out, well, hang on, which bit do I need to copy and paste in from each 5 documents? It goes crazy, and that's kind of, it used to be called version control. This is this kind of problem. There is no version control problem with this because it's constantly saving and everybody's work is updated. So let's say that I start typing, but then Nathan comes in. If he wants to change something that I've written, he can do that if he wants to. So you're kind of constantly always getting the most up-to-date version. You don't end up with file version 5 and version 7. Kind of, yeah, Robin, we've all been there. I know, right? Exactly. But if you can kind of embrace this as an organization, that whole issue hopefully should disappear. Can you keep a track of who has updated what? Yeah, so I think there's something, let me see, version history. So you can actually see, it would have been good if I kept that other document open, that's a shame. But I think if you go to, so under File, and then Version History, you can see version history. And I think here it actually tells you who's written what. Hopefully you can all see that. You can see, there we go. So Promo-Cymru wrote that bit. Now there are only 3 versions for this, but if I actually want to roll back to 2 hours ago, I can just click that. And if I go, oh, do you know what? I preferred my version before people started messing around with it. You can even roll back to several versions. There we go. And I'm going to restore this version. Restore. And now all that extra nonsense typing that I did a minute ago is now completely gone, and it's back to being me. And yeah, in that section, you can actually see who is working on it. But obviously in the example I just gave, it was only me. But yes, Nathan always does make the best edits. He absolutely does. Cool. Okay, great. I'm sure you've probably got more questions. If there's anything you want to ask before we move on, I'll give you, let's say 30 seconds if you have got a question. I'll just look back through anything I might have missed. Yeah, capturing 365. It's not, it's a little bit more clunky, isn't it, I think? Oh, Steph, let's have a look. The format between Word and Google changes. Oh, right. Okay. So you find there's less functionality. Yes, that probably is true, actually. So if you use Google Sheets, and if you are like a proper Excel wizard and you do proper witchcraft like Jono, our finance manager, then yeah, you might find that the online versions are probably a little bit more limited. You don't get the full range of options. However, I think for 90% of us that are maybe only making fairly basic tables, it'll have everything you need. And actually, it's worth pointing out that everything that Google Sheets can do, Office 365's Excel can do as well. It's just the offline version of Excel that sometimes you get more features, but then you lose out on all these sharing functions. So probably a good idea, if you're the only one working in it, I suppose there's no harm in continuing to do that offline. Oh, there we go. I didn't know that. Okay, thanks, Gary. So you can just click all changes saved. Oh yeah, see, I told you every day is a school day, particularly at the moment. We're all learning a lot. But yeah, that's really useful to know. So that's like a little shortcut. You can just click all changes saved in Drive. Awesome, thanks, Gary. Okay, we've only got about 5 minutes left. So let's go back to the slides for the time being. So the kind of last thing that I wanted to touch on before kind of saying goodbyes was Trello. Now, the main reason for showing you this is if you're kind of already really familiar with the stuff we've covered today, I kind of hoped there'd be something a little bit more techie that you can go away with that perhaps you haven't played with before. Yeah, I don't know if people want to say whether they've used Trello before in the comments. Oh, but yeah, so Trello is really useful. So basically, it's a tool in which you can manage your projects and basically everything that you're working on at the moment. If you use it just individually, it's like a really good way to keep a track of all the things you need to do, which when you're working from home is really useful. It's very easy to kind of lose track of what you're meant to be doing. But I think where it really comes into its own is when you start sharing your Trello boards with other people and you can start collaborating a little bit like we saw with the Google Docs there. You can actually invite team members. So let me show you what I mean. Oh, so there you go. Okay, so this is a Trello board. Now, if Trello is, again, it's free to set up. It's free at a basic level. I think there does come like a premium option with it where you get a few more features. But for most of us here, the free version will probably be enough. Now, it's worth bearing in mind, this is obviously a board that we're currently working on. When you start your first board, there'll be nothing here, okay? But let me kind of run you through what you're looking at here. So each of these sort of, I guess they're called tabs or channels. Each of these kind of columns you're looking at, they're like different projects that we're currently working on. So I can see my colleague has set up one for Promo, one for Mae Creu, which is a national helpline that Promo-Cymru run for Welsh Government. We have a Sprout channel, which the Sprout is a website for children and young people in Cardiff. And I've even got a board set up here for this exact thing that we've been doing today. So let's kind of go into this one and have a look at what we've done. So first of all, in each of these, we've added a little thing to say, right, okay, what do we need to do before the event? And if you click on this, we can get more information. So we made a little checklist that said, okay, we need to test Zoom's webinar function. So we had a little practice go at this morning and just tested what we could and couldn't do. Create an Eventbrite, do all of our social media posts to kind of encourage people to sign up, email contacts, and translation. So obviously we got it all translated by Tanya, who is based in North Wales. I don't know if Tanya's here, but thank you, Tanya. So you can see here that we had a tick list, and all you have to do is go in and say we're done. And what's quite nice, it kind of gives you an idea of roughly how close to completion you are with this project. Now, thankfully, we finished that because it was before this event. In this one, I've made a section called presentation. So these are the things that I needed to do in order to have this presentation ready for you to join. You can link this to your Google Drive. So this whole presentation has actually been made in Google Slides, which is like Microsoft PowerPoint. That's what I've been using for it. And I've been able to drop it here so that anyone in our Trello board can access it and kind of go through and make their own comments and read it and make any amendments that they want. There's also the demo doc that I think you all worked on earlier. So here's like a nice place to kind of dump stuff that I needed to think about. I've also put a little comment in there so you can add comments. And hit save. So you can add comments as well to kind of give an update of what's going on or maybe what you need from other people. You get loads of options. There's things like due dates. So if you want to set a deadline for this, then you can add a certain due date. And you can add members. Now you might see up here, we've already got members in this one. So responsible for doing this presentation was myself and Nathan. So what we did, we went to members up here and we've added people. So actually, if let's say that we wanted Tanya, who I just mentioned, to do some translation on this, we can add Tanya in. Oops. And there you can see Tanya now appears up here. She'll actually get an email update to say she's been added to the board. And if you go back to this section, you can see that there's me, there's Nathan, and now Tanya has also kind of been involved. So it's quite a nice way of assigning your tasks to individuals so that kind of everyone knows what needs to be done and what they need to do. They can provide an update. And actually, this is quite a lot nicer than just using emails because emails threads can kind of get all over the place and you end up having one thread with one colleague. So I might have a thread with Nathan, but then I end up sending a new email to Tanya and then I'm starting to look at two different threads and it kind of get a bit complicated. This is actually a better place to record all this stuff because any one of us can come in and just add a comment and we can update stuff or we can add in a task or an attachment. So this is kind of probably a much better way of working. And again, it kind of removes a lot of the stuff coming through to your inbox all the time. I appreciate that was a really whistle-stop tour of Trello, but I'll just do one final one. Let's kind of create a new list. So I'll run you through how we might set one up. So you can see here, we've got add another list. Let's call this test list. Okay, and then each of these little white ones are called a card. So we can add a card, and again, card one. We'll add it. And then if we want to add more information, you can just click on it, and we can start adding in, here's the description, and hit save. Oops. We can add comments. We can add the due date. And even set a reminder that it's due. And we can add in people. So again, Nathan, I'm setting you to do this task. All right, mate? I'm trusting you. You can do it. I believe in you. Thanks. So there you go. So we have a look at this. So there we can see now that card one, it's got a due date of March the 30th, or a deadline date, I should say. There's a description. There is one comment, and it's been assigned to Nathan. So I realized, like I say, that was a really whistle-stop tour, but I'm aware that we're kind of already pretty much at the end of the session, and I was desperate to do a little Q&A before we finish. So I'll just leave this up on the screen for a second. So I'm going to turn this off and just go back onto camera mode so that I can see you and hopefully interact with you a bit better. But what I'm kind of looking for is if you have any questions or any thoughts, Would you be interested in doing one of these again? Because I think hopefully, if nothing else, it alludes from some of the social isolation. It's nice to meet up and have a chat and do some stuff once a week. And if we do it again, what kind of stuff would you like to cover? Now, I'm actually going to say, if you want to put it in the comments, please do. But I'm actually going to go through now and unmute individuals. So I'm going to stop sharing. I can now see everybody on my screen right now. If you would like to comment, where it says, I think it's under participants at the bottom of the screen. If you click participants, you should get the option to raise hand. So if I see any raised hands, I'll come around and unmute you and feel free to ask your question. Or if you have any comments or if there's anything you think you'd like to cover next week. So let me see if I can see any hands up. Oh, hi, Cindy. I didn't know you were here. Hello. And Tanya is here. Thank goodness I didn't say anything mean. Thank you, Tanya. Always doing a great job on translation for us. I can't see any hands at the moment. If you're struggling to find the hands, by all means, just put your actual real life hand up. It doesn't have to be a digital hand. I was just going to show you that it exists if you wanted to. Oh, Cindy Chen, hang on. Here we go. Right, Cindy, I'm going to unmute you, so feel free to ask away.
Hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Sorry, I was in a different meeting, so apologies for being late. So I don't know what you've covered earlier, but is it possible to do like a Zoom introduction, how to use Zoom? Maybe you've covered it already.
Yes, I think we've kind of started off looking at some of the different packages of what you can do for web conferencing. We had a little look at kind of setting up Zoom, but actually you're right, there's probably, we could almost do a whole session on just creating an account, installing it, and how you would maybe set up a meeting. I haven't got anything prepared, so maybe that's something that we can add. In fact, I will write that down, as maybe if it's something people are interested in, we can cover it next time.
Yes, I just realized from my previous meeting right before this, I just discovered the participants button. So when you click on it, I didn't realize that you can raise hand or like put a coffee emoticon if you're grab a cuppa. So I think we need to this more. How do we let people know I'm just dashing off to the loo to get a cuppa, or I want to say something? What's the etiquette? What's the best thing to do?
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea. I mean, so actually, because this is the first one of these we've done, I think even I'm learning quite a lot about how you manage it. And what I found is that for us, particularly because there's so many people in this, it's been really helpful having Nathan looking at kind of a slightly different screen to me. So just so you know, for my screen, it looked quite a lot different. I could only really see what I was showing you. I couldn't see any of your faces. I could occasionally open up the chat, but it was kind of getting in the way of a lot of my work. So actually, from a setup point of view, it's been really useful having a secondary person who's been checking the chat. And so, yeah, I think you're right. Perhaps there's a whole session we could do on just how you set it up and how it works differently. But yeah, thank you, Cindy. Okay, I'm going to mute Cindy again. And I can see we've got a hand up from Ariel and somebody else. Oh, Geraint. Okay, Geraint, I'm going to come to you next. There we are. If you click unmute, hopefully you should be able to speak now.
Yeah, should be fine. I just wanted to respond to Cindy, really. There's a couple of settings in Zoom that can make your life easier, and there's shortcuts that you can use to unmute and mute people and things like that. So have a look at the settings on zoom.us, and you can see a lot of the functionality of it. Because when you get invited to a Zoom meeting, you're only using the app, whereas the back end of the settings is a lot more there. And that's kind of it, really.
No, I think that's a really good point. I just sent a link to zoom.us in the comments if anyone does want to have a look and if they're interested in signing up. I'd say it looks like pretty much everybody's probably already now got a Zoom account, so definitely play around with it. And if you can, encourage your colleagues to sign up as well. I think the more you learn, the quicker everybody will get at adjusting to this new way of working. And unfortunately, it looks like this is how things are going to be for the next few weeks at least. So the sooner we learn, the better. But yeah, thank you, Geraint.
No problem.
Ariel, oh, we've got Ariel. I'll come to Ariel next. Ariel, you should be unmuted.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
I just would be really interested over the weeks. Hi, everyone. I think it's just really cool to get together because I think we're all going through so much change. And it would be really nice on either a weekly basis or bi-weekly, whatever, that people share like what they've been doing. I would really like to hear feedback from other people. Perhaps they could send in some feedback beforehand and say, you know, we've been doing this and it's really worked for us, because it's such a steep learning curve at the moment for all of us.
I think that's a great idea. And actually, perhaps what we could do next time, if people do want to come again, obviously we'll cover something different and look at whatever there's particular demand for. But actually, perhaps that'd be a nice way to start in future. We could kind of just open it up to the floor of anybody that kind of wants to share an update of something they've learned this week, or something that they kind of either found difficult or anything. Yeah, I think that'd be a really nice idea. So yeah, I think that's great. We'll try and do that next time, perhaps. Great, thank you, Ariel. And Katrin. Okay, I've unmuted you, Katrin. I don't know if you need to click, you might need to click something yourself now. There you go, fantastic.
I had a question about Zoom. I've added it as a plug-in into my Outlook 365.
Mm-hmm.
So would I have the same functionality as the purchased version? I'm not sure.
You won't get it's a really good question. And that's, to be honest, is something we're still kind of working out ourselves because we've not long had the paid version. But I would imagine just by adding it to your Outlook calendar, all it should allow you to do is kind of schedule Zoom meetings through Outlook. It doesn't actually give you the ability to have these like 24-hour calls or anything like that. You still don't get the full functionality, unfortunately. But yeah,
would it still have the whiteboard?
Yeah, I think so. I think basically the only main difference is the time limit is the big one. So you only get, I think it's a maximum of 40 minutes, maybe even half an hour with the free version. Also, something to bear in mind is obviously like all of these tools and platforms have just exploded at the moment. Like everybody across the world is suddenly trying to use them, and like the demand for them has flown up. So what they're kind of doing at the moment is capping a lot of the bandwidth. So that I said earlier, Google Hangouts was quite poor quality. I think with a lot of the free ones, they're really shrinking your bandwidth, which means the quality of the video sometimes is going to be quite poor. However, if you have the paid account, I think they kind of release a bit more so that hopefully you're getting a slightly better quality.
Yeah, because in work we use the Teams mostly, but I'm just thinking of Zoom for people I speak to who's outside of our team family then.
Yeah, and what's quite nice is you don't need to have an account to invite, to join a Zoom meeting, but it's worth bearing in mind. So you only get, for £12, you get one, I guess, host premium account. So you can see, I don't know if you can see under my name, I'm just Promo-Cymru. So whereas Ariel is logged in as on her free account, I'm logged in as Promo-Cymru, and this is our one paid account. So it's worth bearing in mind that if you have one paid account, make sure you're always hosting only with that paid one. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, great. I can see Dan's got a hand up, so I'll come to you next. But thank you, Katrin. Okay, Dan, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Hi, everybody. I just thought I would plug the link. I'm going to post it now to Folding at Home, in case anyone doesn't have it already. This is for anybody who is working from home and is going to have their computers just running quite a lot during the day anyway. You can give a portion of your CPU, and you can choose how much, and you can do it whether it's only when your computer's idle, or I just have it running at a low level all the time, where it'll take a percentage of your computer's power, connect it to Stanford University, and help them develop cures for the coronavirus. So I think if everybody installs that and just has it running in the background, that's a pretty awesome techie thing to do. What I also quite like is that you get points, so you can also kind of feel competitive with each other. So a CPU, Central Processing Unit. So if you follow the link, you can read all about it, but it basically takes, you can use any computer, but the more powerful, the better. It will build, because they can't do human trials very easily, they will basically build digital DNA strands and digitally test vaccines. So essentially they're building a really complicated computer game of the human body and saying, well, what would happen if we put this protein into this bit of the human DNA, and then it doesn't matter if they explode because it's all digital rather than real. And when they have found a cure, then they're going back to curing cancer. So it's a worthwhile thing to have on your computer just anyway.
That's amazing. What a really good suggestion. That's awesome. In fact, hang on, if I can.
It can potentially slow things down. I would do it on a PC because, or only have your laptop running when it's plugged in. But what it does, it sits in the bottom right-hand corner. You click on it and you can change low, medium, or high, as in how much of my computer I'm letting it use. And you can also have two modes. One is idle. So as soon as you start using your computer, it'll stop. The other one is running all the time, but then, like, personally what I do, I just have it on low mode, running all the time. But if you find that slowing things down too much, you can just say, just use it when I'm not using my computer. And then literally, even if it's just 10 minutes when you're having coffee and whenever you're not touching it, then it'll kick in. And as soon as you open an app, it'll close again. So personally, I've not found it's really slowed much down. Things went a little bit slower when I have it running all the time, but I've not noticed a big difference.
Thank you, Dan. That is absolutely amazing. I mean, I thought Zoom was clever, but I think digitally creating DNA using everybody's computer in the world. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Have it running with the thing saying how much I've done, but you can actually click on it and view the DNA models if you're interested, and it's very scientific. But I did take a look at it, and it just looked really cool, even though I had no idea what I was looking at.
Oh, awesome. Oh, well, thank you very much. I will put you on mute now if you're all done, Dan.
And yes, it is safe.
Awesome. So no viruses. That's what we like to hear. Awesome. Thanks, Dan.
Cheers.
Okay. I think I can't see any more hands up or any questions coming in via the chat. So I think if there's nothing else, I think we'll probably kind of leave it for today. Just before I go, however, I do want to share this with you. So you may have already seen this going around. It is a Notion website that Nathan has been working on. It's basically like Nathan has been collating loads of resources, tools, blog posts, anything that is remotely useful for third sector organizations kind of adapting to this new way of working. There are some phenomenal tools in there. It's amazing. But I'd really encourage you to, when you've got some free time, look through all of that stuff. There's loads in there, right through from remote working for charities, right through to working with communities, volunteering, and even ethics and stuff. So definitely worth keeping that on your tabs and having a look through at some point. Finally, the last thing I want to say is, if you're all happy for me to do so, and we've got your emails from the sign up, I'll be sharing, I will share with you the presentation that we did today, so that you can always go back and look through that stuff. By all means, do email that on to colleagues that obviously couldn't make it today if you want to share any of that information with them. But apart from that, I think all that's left for me is to say thank you very much. If you've got any more questions, please get in touch. I'll also put my email address in the comments. Please feel free to drop me an email. If there's anything you'd like to share, or if you'd like us to cover next week, like I say, just drop me an email, send us something on Twitter, and hopefully look forward to seeing you all again next week. Thank you very much.